Hello and welcome to my video tutorial on creating an additional mailbox store in Exchange Server 2003. Today's activity is based out of the book MCSE Guide to Microsoft Exchange Server 2003 Administration. ISBN 13 is 978-1-4239-0266-9. We're currently doing activity 9-2, creating an inbox or creating an additional mail store. The description of this activity is we'll create an additional mailbox store on my Exchange Server 2003, which I have running on Windows Server 2003 R2 in a virtual server. The mailbox store will be named Executive Data Store and houses the mailbox recipients for the executives within the company. The process to create the additional mailbox store will be done within 7 steps. So let's begin. From the Windows desktop, we'll log into the backend server. Then we'll click Start, go to All Programs. So Start, All Programs. From All Programs, we'll select Microsoft Exchange, and then we will launch the System Manager. Then the System Manager, step 2, we will click the plus sign next to the Administrative group to expand the tree. Then we will click the plus sign next to the first administrative group. And once again, we will click the plus sign next to the servers to expand that. And from there, we will click on our server. We can see our VIP storage group. We will right click on the VIP storage group. On the shortcut menu, we will move to New, and within New we'll click a mailbox store. The property dialog box for the mailbox store will open up. Step 3, on the Generals tab, we will name the mailbox store Executive. Name that Executive Data Store. Step 4, we'll click the Database tab. We'll go ahead and apply that. Then we'll click the Database tab. From the Database tab, we should see the default location for our Exchange database and the streaming database files. There's no need to change any of the settings on this tab. We can just examine the settings to make sure we understand what they are. So we can see everything's pointing to our Exchange database as the temporary file, or ctemp. Number 5, to change the location of the database file, we'll use the Browse button to the right of the related text box to specify the new location. For this activity, we will not change it, but if we were to, we could just select Browse, and from there we could browse the location or browse for the new location. Step 6, we're going to change the mode to Exchange Server 2003 database files. So the files can become, they can become inconsistent over time. So to correct the problems that might arise in Exchange 2003. It runs daily maintenance tasks from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. by default. If we want, we can change this. We change that by clicking the Customize button, and then we can change the schedule from there. But for this activity, we'll leave it as default maintenance interval. Step 7 is to specify the limits within the database. We'll click the Limits tab. We'll go ahead and cancel out of this. We'll select Limits, and from Limits tab, we can configure the limits within it. The issue warning at Kbox checkbox, which is this warning right here. This sets the size limits that a mailbox can be reached before the user is notified. Prohibited send, which is this one right here. It sets the size limit that a mailbox can reach before the user is prohibited from sending any new mail. Prohibited send and receive. This sets the size limit that a mailbox can reach before the user is prohibited from sending and receiving mail. The run daily at the specified time. And the warning message interval drop-down list. This sets the interval for sending warning messages to the user whose mailbox exceeds the limit. Keeping the deleted items for a specific amount of days sets the retention policy. Keep deleted mailboxes for a specific amount of days is how long. An average retention policy, or an average retention. The average policy is about 14 days before it permanently purges the mailbox out of the system. So we'll go ahead and apply that. We'll go ahead and click step 8, click OK when we're finished with the Exchange Server 2003 creates the mailbox store. Then it notifies you that the store was created successful. It is now mounting the data store. There's our notification. We'll go ahead and close Exchange System Manager, and the process is complete. So this brief video tutorial and activity 9-2 in MCSE Guide Microsoft Exchange Server 2003 Administration, we went through the steps necessary to create an additional mailbox store. The steps that required or that was listed in activity 9.2 was 10 steps. We started off by logging into the system, opening up the System Manager, going through administrative group, browsing down to get to our server, right-clicking our VIP storage group within that specific server, clicking New, and creating a new mailbox store. Once the new dialog box opened up, we went ahead and named the mailbox store. After that process, you can configure the default public store and the offline address, which are basically the location of the data store. We left ours default. The next tab under limits, we could go ahead and set and configure the limits for our inbox and outbox, our send and receive limits. We then went through, applied the settings, the system created the mailbox, and we closed it. Thank you for watching the brief tutorial on creating additional mailbox stores. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them in the forum below.